President Trump's threatened 50% tariffs on Canadian goods. How likely is it that you'll be able to fend those tariffs off?
Good afternoon. The U.S. is trying to dismantle the International Criminal Court, and Washington wants to allies to withdraw membership and funding. Are you doing anything to defend the ICC? And why haven't you spoken up for the Canadian judge under American sanctions?
Well, first, Canada is a proud member of the International Criminal Court. We support it with funding, we support it with personnel, we support it with our values, we support it with our actions. And we will continue to do so. It provides an essential service in a world that is more dangerous, more divided. In fact, in many respects, its responsibilities are ever greater. I think you can see the attachment to which the government places to these values and the rule of law and the importance of rule of law in the appointments that we have been making.
And the Canadian judge?
And the judge will provide support as needed, and we work with our American colleagues on a variety of issues to work to achieve results. But our support for the ICC is unequivocal. Thank you.
All right, next question.
Hi, Prime Minister. Rob Benzie from the Toronto Star. I just want to ask you about Billy Bishop Airport. You had been signaling, I think the last time you were with the Mayor and Premier Ford, you had interest in that project. You called it an interesting project. You've kind of changed your view. I don't know.
Interesting is...
well, that's what you said. I'm just quoting you.
Interesting has a quite wide range of meanings.
Chinese curse, I know.
Yeah.
Interesting times. But no, I wanted to ask you, though, you've changed your tune, or at least you've changed the policy so that you're not going to expand Billy Bishop Airport. Does that mean categorically that there will never be commuter jets there?
So a couple of things. One, look, we have a series of challenges. We all do. In Canada and Toronto, and part of those challenges come from success. Part of those challenges come from, I'm going to refer back to my remarks, Toronto's greatness. One of the core is building enough affordable housing and building it now, and this is what today is very much about. Another form of that challenge is transportation. Transportation getting in and out of the city. You see a series of announcements that have been made. In fact, Premier Ford and I will be highlighting the Ontario line later today and the progress that's being made there. But it also, of course, includes air and other forms of transportation, people coming to the GTA more broadly from elsewhere in the province, elsewhere in Canada, elsewhere from around the world. And what we need is, and what we're developing at the federal level, is a comprehensive approach that addresses all forms of transport. The scale of what could be required over the course of the next quarter century. That includes Pearson. That includes regional airports. That includes Alto, high-speed rail. That includes the GO network, which we just witnessed, and a series of investments in cooperation with all levels of government. Billy Bishop is part of a much bigger picture, and so the muted ideas for Billy Bishop are interesting. We're interesting in a broader context. We did not have a policy. So I'm going to take issue with your premise of your question. We did not have a policy. What we had was an idea that was proposed, and then we did what government should do, which is to consult. And we consulted the people of Toronto. It was a very clear result of that consultation. And we took the view, as we stand by, that our investment in Billy Bishop will be for safety reasons, and then set out very clear criteria around noise, around protection of nature, around pristine heritage spots, and others that have to take into account. So the fundamental point, to finish where I started, which is that question, that issue, is part of a much bigger set of issues, and it's on us to be addressing the much bigger set of issues. We have elements of those solutions, but we will be providing more in due course.
But if I may, Prime Minister, you didn't answer whether it means there will be no commuter jets at Billy Bishop ever.
Well, that's what ever is a long time. I mean, forever is a long time. But look, there is clear criteria on noise, clear criteria on protecting the environment and pristine spots, clear criteria on housing, and as I just said, maybe at some length, but let's make it clear, it's a small part of a much bigger puzzle. And we need to focus on those other puzzle pieces in the context of serving the people of the GTA, people of Ontario, people of Canada, and the people who want to come to Canada.
Next question, prochaine question.
Hi, Prime Minister Barbara with iPolitics. Did you ever get to the point of telling Premier Doug Ford that he would move forward with the Billy Bishop's expansion?
No.
And do you think that the fact that some Ontario MPPs are raising concerns about the Alto high-speed rail project right now is some sort of retaliation?
Look, I'll just refer to my previous answer. There is a bigger set of issues that are the product of success of Toronto, success of Ontario, success of Canada, which is that there is a demand for more and more. And we can see, you can never predict exactly with certainty, but we can see that those demands will continue to increase for transportation. So we need a comprehensive, a holistic solution to air those in public and the components of those solutions. That's what the government's doing. An expansion of Pearson is part of that. Alto is part of that. I think greater use of regional. Billy Bishop is not a regional airports could be part of that. The investments we're making in GO Train is part of that as well. So we look at it in the round.
All right, next question, prochaine question.
Appreciate it. Hello, Prime Minister. Nathaniel Dove from Global News. I have a non-Billy Bishop question for you.
Congratulations.
The British Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, said that FIFA President Gianni Infantino is the wrong person to lead football. He spent a lot of time with Mr. Infantino recently at the World Cup. Do you think he should lead FIFA? And if not, who else would you support? Victor Montagliani, Canadian FIFA Vice President.
Okay. Well, the first thing is that I want to pay tribute. I'm going to answer your question, but I want to take the opportunity to pay tribute to the mayor, pay tribute to the premier, pay tribute to the first responders, all the volunteers who made the World Cup here such a success. It was absolute knockout success in Toronto. And again, the best of Toronto, and hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people, and hundreds of millions of people would have witnessed it on TV, a bunch witnessed it in person, and they bring back nothing but great stories about the people in this great city. So that's the first thing. The second thing, look, I've run a few organizations in my time. The idea that proper governance is not to disclose to your closest advisors, your chief operating officer, your fellow board members, something of consequence that you're even considering, let alone proposing, that's fatal, should be fatal, and you lose confidence in that individual. They have their own procedures for making those determinations, but certainly I don't have confidence in Mr. Infantino after this point. Given what transpired and given the nature of what transpired. Look, I'll give you an example. Carlos Cordero is someone I've known for more than 3 decades, very high integrity individual, and he was his advisor and had expertise in all the aspects of what was proposed, and he was not consulted. This is not how you run any business, a small business, let alone something that is a global responsibility like football.
And sorry, my last part of my question,
Victor,
would you support...
he's an exceptional individual. He's credit to Canada, credit to football. He's done a very good job in his role at CONCACAF, but this, again, I'll defer to governance. I mean, there are those who make these decisions, and they're not prime ministers, but he's someone I know well and have tremendous respect for.
Next question.
And loves the game. Loves the game.
Hello, Mr. Prime Minister. Jeff Knight with Western Standard. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has called for concrete reforms to the equalization formula, including ending the GDP growth escalator. You've said before the formula will be reviewed before the 2029 renewal, but have you actually supported any specific changes, or is it your position simply to support the status quo until then?
Well, we're not going to, I mean, we have an equalization agreement in place. Governments rely on those formula in setting their policies, and so that predictability and that financing is valuable, and yes, we're going to keep it in place. The review is for 2029 is the next update. But let me bring it back down to where we are today, which is fundamental principles in Canada. And a fundamental principle that drives this country, many Canadians in their personal lives, but also in government, is that Canadians should have access to comparable services, all Canadians. Health care services, education, we all have access to the same education. Part of where the challenge comes in and what we're tackling today is access to housing, as the mayor said a moment ago. The ability to live near to where you work, to not have to move if you're having a child or your child's in school and you have another child and have that move. So that's not the level of equalization, but it's the responsibility to use all our levers, and that's what we're seeing here in an aspect of the housing market, so that Canadians, all Canadians, have that opportunity.
All right, prochaine question. Next question.
Bonjour, Catherine Moras de Radio-Canada. Mes questions portent sur les négociations commerciales avec les Américains. On est à 14 jours de nouveaux tarifs et les négociations ne semblent pas vraiment faire de progrès concrets. À quel moment, à votre avis, on doit changer de stratégie et durcir le ton?
Ouais, le ton est assez dur. On va faire tout ce qui serait nécessaire dans la possibilité s'il n'y a pas un accord, le 19 août. Mais on verra. Il y a des négociations qui sont en train. M. Leblanc est là, notre négociatrice en chef, Mme Charette, était là maintenant, les deux à Washington. J'ai eu des conversations avec les Américains moi-même. Alors, mais c'est une négociation et c'est pas le moment de changer. On a du temps, on a des vraies négociations, des négociations constructives sur plusieurs enjeux. Mais le temps de durcir, ce sera s'il y a le moment sans un accord avec les Américains.
Oui. Puis, est-ce qu'un système de quotas sur les exportations d'aluminium et d'acier est envisagé pour réduire les tarifs?
Il y a le Canada, nous croyons dans le libre-échange et de respecter nos engagements. Cela dit, avec des menaces tarifaires, nous avons des options. C'est pas le moment, je viens de le dire, c'est pas le moment de déclencher les options, mais on a des options, oui.
Prochaine question.
Merci.
Next question.
Hi.
Thank you. Hi, Prime Minister. Laura Stone, Globe and Mail. On the trade front, we understand that there have been detailed discussions on steel and aluminum tariffs, but significantly less on autos. So would you accept a deal that punts auto tariffs to the more extensive USMCA negotiations next year?
Canada's been very clear. We want all 232s addressed, all strategic sectors, which, for clarity,
but it's not being discussed.
Well, you don't know that. You don't know that. I know what's being discussed. I'm part of those discussions, so Canada's position is as I just stated, and that's what we say in the room.
Prochaine question. Next question.
Irep Çakır with Turkish Voice of Canada. Thank you, Prime Minister. So your today's announcement is not only about the houses that's going to be built here. It's also about the people who's going to live in it and who's going to pay for it, right? So you mentioned how this city became the greatest with migration. I'll give you educational and professional capacity of a specific cohort. Approximately 88% completed post-secondary education, 56% holding a bachelor's degree, 21% master's degree, 5% a PhD, and 6.7% a college diploma. Remarkable, right? So this group includes engineers, healthcare professionals, teachers, academics, IT specialists, experienced business and finance professionals. They are currently employed across Canada in key sectors, and I'm talking about 6,000 plus Turkish nationals whose temporary work permits TS 2023 are expiring. A woman named Özlem Şahin is currently walking 500 kilometers from Toronto to Ottawa just to make sure to draw attention to their situation. Does your government know how many of those individuals are productively employed and care about the existence and continuation of this kind of new but also well-settled workforce that is also growing roots with their kids in Canada?
So thank you for that. And let me be clear that the woman's situation you referenced, the 6,000 others, or the other people in this situation, regardless of where they've come from to this country, who who are working, who are settled. Perhaps they have a family here and the children in school. We took steps a few months ago to take a number of those individuals who'd been in those situations for a long period of time and would be on a pathway ultimately to greater permanent residency, to move them towards that pathway, which meant that they're able to stay. We continually look at this. We look at it, though, within the context of our discussions with the provinces and with la capacité d'accueil, the ability of Canada to, whether it's a city or to welcome them and provide the housing, the services, and the life that people deserve in Canada. So the system, we've taken back control of the system, got on top of the numbers. I can give you them all. I can almost have as long as your preamble to your question going through the numbers, but you've got people standing behind you. And now working towards getting at a more sustainable process from there. So we're working on it.
All right. Last question. Dernière question.
No, we need to ask.
I'll make it quick. Good afternoon, Prime Minister. David Lowett, CBC National News. We're now 2 weeks from President Trump's threatened 50% tariffs on Canadian goods. How likely is it that you'll be able to fend those tariffs off?
We're in the middle of negotiations, and the Minister LeBlanc, Janice Charette, who's our chief negotiator, are in Washington, as Ambassador Wiseman, obviously there, in a series of meetings related to this. I'm very involved in this as well, and we'll see. But I'll refer back to my previous answer in terms of the scope of what Canada wants to move forward on, which is across all strategic sectors, including the specific question from Ms. Stone, I think, was about autos as well, and that very much at the core of what we're talking about. Thank you.
Dernière question. Last question.
Hi, Prime Minister Carney. I want to ask about the spying charges in Belgium. Have you explained to the authorities in Belgium and NATO allies about how the government, proceeds and meets the security risk? That is my first question. And I think, do you think these security screening process for the international staffer need to be reformed? Can you explain?
Well, the first thing is, anytime you have a situation, you should take stock and take lessons from this. The second thing is, look, it's an active investigation, so I'm limited in what I can say. The only thing I would add cryptically is that the Canadian officials have been involved from the start. Draw your own conclusions. Thank you.